Welcome, welcome all to America's #1 stock car race, the American 700, here on a very hot 4th of July. Temperatures are a little bit higher than expected. They're about 109 degrees instead of the 107 right now. And it's actually quite humid as well. We kind of were surprised by that. We're supposed to get some thunderstorms tomorrow. But the American 700 is on. As you can see, the cars are on the backstretch for reasons that they do start them on the backstretch. So Fontana is one of the more interesting races on the paddock area. We have the American 700 is very unpredictable as Cooper Cyron, a rookie, is on the pole. And we've got a few drivers that we're going to talk to before this race begins. The first of which we're going to start going through the order. And actually, we're going to be talking to Kenny Myatt, the owner of Car 6 in the race. Car 6, here's the order right now as Kenny, how you doing? Alright, I wish I would have made it, but guess we didn't. Since you didn't make the race, how are you and Nathan going to support the 6 car, and what do you think his chances are?
Well, I think we can expect him to get a pretty good run and have a pretty good race. I know Nathan, I kept Nathan around specifically. Typically, when you don't qualify for the race, you send your driver home. However, I wanted Nathan to experience the American 700 so he can be prepared for it in future years. And you didn't make the race. You were in a bad crash. How are you feeling right now? I'm fine. A little bit sore from that wreck yesterday, but we're all here to support Charlie, and the qualifier is really not my thing right now. And right now, we're just pretty much betting on hoping that Charlie's going to win this race. Nice talking to you. Do you think Charlie could win this? I believe he's got a serious chance. All right, that was Kenny Myatt. We're going to now go down the order a little bit, starting near Charlie Fabrosis. We're gonna start going around here looking for a driver. Hey, it's Tyler Thaber. He's going to be starting P number 15. Tyler, how you doing?
Doing all right.
All right. With it being so hot today, how do you think that the drivers are going to react?
Christ, it is hot. I just hope that people don't pass out in their cars and head on the wall. That could be bad. But it's probably just me being paranoid. I think this is truly going to be an endurance race because we also have to hold our bodies together.
With the track also being so bumpy, is that going to put into this as well?
I'd say yes. It's probably going to lead to a lot of checkups, possibly a wreck or 2 or 3. She certainly did in the pause.
Another thing that has been a big talking point is that right now the top 10 relatively is very inexperienced. Do you think that the inexperienced drivers up front who have never started an American 700 or aren't really ARCSOA regulars, that's not supposed to happen. Apparently they're starting engines and they're not supposed to. But that was a miscue by the officialdom. A little bit of a gaffe there, but they're not starting yet. Don't worry, Tyler. Do you think that the top 5...
I'm not sure what they're doing, but...
The top 3 are going to... do you think that the relative inexperience in the top 3 is going to affect, and do you think they can able to be leading this race for, like, the first 20 laps, or do you want somebody more experienced up there leading the group?
I'm not sure. I'd say probably these guys so they can show what they can do. At the same time, this is the biggest race in all of motorsport, at least stock car racing. So I kind of would like one of the more experienced because if one of the rookies up front make a mistake, the field might self-destruct. So I'm kind of split.
Well, Noah Hart, I think, is pretty clear that he is going to go up the order and take this position, or try and at least take the lead to make some sort of run up high, or try and make some sort of run for the lead. Any final thoughts, Tyler?
Not really.
All right.
I'm just raring to go.
Nice talking to you, Tyler. We'll be back after these commercial
Thanks.
messages. Welcome back to the American 700. As we saw earlier, Cooper Cyron is on the pole. A lot of controversy, or a lot of things were being talked about Cooper Cyron's relatively inexperience here in this series. We're going to actually go talk to Jordan Davis. He is going to be starting P number 11. And Charles Sanford. They're both starting alongside, and they're in a conversation right now. How are you both doing?
I'm doing good. You?
I'm doing good as well, yeah.
All right, what do you guys think about, you guys are starting pretty well. You won your qualifiers. How does that affect going into the American 700, the biggest race of the season?
I'll let Charles go first.
Okay, well, for me at least, it definitely gives a big vote of confidence, especially with the guys. We had a great pit stop in the duel, was able to run up front for a good majority of it, and it gives a good feel for how the car was in traffic as well as in clean air.
Yeah, Davis? Jordan?
Well, I have to say it's a big confidence boost. Also, seeing that my pit crew is able to be there whenever I need them and I'm in a bad situation. I think this will really help us out in the long run through the race because we're starting up near the front and not in that pretty much crapshoot that's in the back there. But yeah, I think this is going to be a pretty fun race, and I'm actually kind of surprised that Italy made it.
The qualifiers are typically a stressful time. How nervous were you guys going into the qualifiers?
I'll go
Well,
first.
for me at least, I actually really wasn't. Usually, anytime I'm in a qualifier, the only time I'm more nervous is if I'm towards that transfer spot. But for a good majority of that race, we were actually running up in the top half, and so really wasn't all that nervous towards the end of it.
Jordan?
We had a great car off the beginning. We just decided to take that early pit stop along with, I believe it was James Shelley, was it? I can't remember, but we went in with that Kaffnick's car, and we both started right there behind 16th, and I was scared. That's when I got really scared during the qualifier, because the only person I had that was right there that I know that would work with me was Tedford, and we worked our way up front, and then that great pit stop got in front. I mean, it's nerve-wracking, to say the least.
And we were talking with Tyler Thayer earlier about some of the people up front being inexperienced or lack experience in the ARCSOA Elite Series. How do you think, or is your goal, since you guys are higher up the order, is your goal going to be that veteran that everyone thinks? Everyone thinks a veteran's going to go up there and lead this race early on and start getting a big lead early on. Do you guys both want to be that person to get the lead early on, or do you guys just want to be flirting around in like the top 5 but not necessarily leading?
Well, for me, I'm not going to really worry about leading so much, but I mean, if I can, I want to be up front as much as I can so I can stay out of the hornet's nest that will be the middle of the field.
Jordan? Jordan's right now looking at his car right now, so we'll keep talking to Sanford. Charles, do you have any concerns with the people up front being relatively inexperienced?
Well, it's always a concern, but at least in my eyes, if they can hang up there, then let them. If they can't, then they'll fall back, and it won't be any problem for us at all.
Do you think it's more of a learning? Do you think that it would be wise for the veterans to go up there, though, immediately and battle with these inexperienced guys? Or do you think you should just stay away from them, let them get their feet under them, and see what their cars can handle? And yours, for that matter.
Definitely the latter. Our goal, at least in the early going, would be to try and settle into a groove and get this going. I mean, 350 laps, a very long race, and you can't win on lap 1.
Finally, how are the temperatures going to affect you? It's 109 degrees out. How's it going to affect you?
Personally, it's not going to affect me at all. I'm kind of used to those warm temperatures from living in the desert and all that, but for the car, at least, definitely going to make it a little bit more slick out there than it was, and that'll be an interesting thing to see how that goes.
All right, it was great talking to you both, and we'll be back after these messages. Welcome back to the American 700 pre-race show. We're just about getting ready to fire the engines here at the American 700. However, we got to talk to Tristan Wilhoit. He's an owner and a driver in this race. So, Tristan, you've got two drivers in this race. You've qualified all three of your cars. Are you planning on working with Jake, who is a few positions in front of you, or do you plan on dropping back to help Sean, or what are you planning on doing?
Stay out of trouble. I really don't want to get in any trouble with my teammates whatsoever. I mean, when I saw in the first round, Sean Angel almost got into a wreck earlier on in qualifying A or something like that.
Well, you're starting in the middle of what we call the Hornet's Nest. You're starting 21st. You're starting exactly at the midway point of this race. Do you plan on going forward or backward to try and get out of that?
Stay up front. I mean, the Hornet's Nests are just going to be in the middle toward the back, to say the least.
Do you think that, well, we talked about the rookies all day up front with Cooper Cyron and Kyle Nova. You follow the Light Series very closely. Do you think that Cooper Cyron, Kyle Nova, Michael White, even Esteban Kadkar, do you think they can handle the pressure that's going to be dumped on them today?
For Cyron, absolutely, because he can take any kind of pressure, especially coming from the first round at Sebring. That was very impressive when I saw Packard and him going at it for the lead throughout the entire race.
Do you think that their relative inexperience, do you think it'd be wise for them to drop back a little bit and expect what they're doing, or just get their car under control and see what they do by themselves in reality?
Just get them under control the best way they can so they can know exactly what they're doing.
Do you think that a veteran's going to jump up and take the lead early on? Because that's one of the things that we've been hearing, that a veteran like Noah Hart, like Nick Mace, maybe Sean Perkins, who won the 14 running, or someone of those natures are going to jump up and take the lead early on and get the race under their belt initially. Do you think that you're going to try and fall underneath that mentality, or do you want to just get the hell away from that and, like, what's your goal?
I just want to stay the hell away from the Hornet's Nest, so I'd rather just stay up front and just keep up with the rookies and other inexperienced drivers who are up front, like Cyron or Padcard, to be honest.
Well, another thing that was very interesting is your car was really fast in the qualifier, and your position really didn't show that. You finished 5th. I thought you could have won that. Do you think your car is strong enough to win the American 700?
Absolutely not, because I can see that other cars are a lot more powerful and they don't blow up as much as what my Porsches would. I mean, of course,
even some of the developmental cars up front, which are pretty much going to be pretty much what we've heard, possibly rolling hand grenades, like Cyron, Perkins. I mean, we're hearing that the reliability on some of those cars aren't great.
Neither are my developmental Porsche either. I mean, this will be the actual main engine and main parts for next season. However, this won't be the paint job of what I'm driving now.
And do you think either of your other two drivers who aren't in a developmental car can win this?
At a high attrition rate, absolutely.
Well, it was great talking to you. We'll see you on the starting grid or we'll see you in this race as we are getting the command to start the engines when we come back. Welcome back to the American 700 as we are going to get ready for the national anthem and the command to start engines on the backstretch. The cars are on the backstretch ready to go. There's Cooper Cyron in there as we get you ready for the presentation of the United States national anthem.
Was so proudly leading
Wow, that was a simply beautiful rendition of the national anthem there. And let us get ready for the command to fire the engines.
Ladies and gentlemen, please start your engines.
And the engines have just been fired for the American 700. When we come back, we will give you the full starting grid of this season's American 700. We'll be back. And now that the pit road pre-race stuff is over, it's time for your starting grid. We're going to go from back to front, as now Sean Harple just barely got into the race in that crazy Duel 2 finale. He just edged out Kyle Collins onto the grid. But starting alongside of him in the final row, we have RL Ryusu in 41st position. Ryusu had a pretty hard run there, had a tough break going on, but still got into the race because the car behind was a lap down. On the outside of row number 20, we have Roman Rahal, the only FedEx car to make the grid. This is very important because FedEx needed that kind of run because none of the other ones made it. On his outside, we have Charlie Smith. Drove a prototype Lycos around here last year, and or was the Jackal. Then prototype Sanctum Jackal around here last year, but failed to qualify last year. So he's going to be making his American 700 debut. On his outside, we have Joshua Collard in an amazing attempt by getting the Minervini on the pole. That is a 2-year-old Durban Sport Lycos that raced at the Texas Motor Speedway. Actually got wrecked, that car did, in the American 700. And on the outside, we have the Squids racing car of Zebulu Start, who will be trying his hardest in the Squids car. On the outside of row number 18, we have Casey Lester, who was running pretty well in this qualifier, but kind of fell back later on, but luckily he's in the race. And alongside of him, we have Esteban Padcar, who did a fantastic job getting P20, or getting P number. Padcar got P35 on the grid, but he's at least on it. On the outside of the next row up, we have Nicholas Vernier, 2 full-time drivers in this row, ironically, and Sean Angel, both of which were having struggles in their qualifiers. Angel was a little bit quicker, but just didn't get anywhere at the end of the race, but luckily for him, he's still in. Eugene DeMax will take up P32 on the grid, and DeMax is making his first American 700 start in quite some time. And alongside of him, we have Adam Tedford in his American 700 debut. Tedford is looking quite strong. On the outside of the next row up, we have Tamor Delise. Delise was part of the Oricon, or was, I don't know, I don't think he might have been in the American 700 last year, I don't exactly remember. And on his inside, we have DJ Curtis, winner of the American 700 2 years ago at the Texas Motor Speedway in Red Bull. The Red Bull car number that he was driving was driven by Vincent Allen, who's on the next position up the grid. The 8 car did a fantastic job getting up there. On his inside, we have James Shelley, a lot of people's favorite to win this race, but who knows with James Shelley. James Shelley could have a very strong run here. On the outside of the next row, we have his teammate being Sean Galligan. Galligan has been very aggressive all week in practice, and it wouldn't surprise me if he tries to get himself up to the front as quickly as possible. He is starting P26. On his inside, we have Andrew Cross in the 32 car in P25. He is in the car that Charlie Smith was in, except now this is just a prototype Jackal with a little bit of advancements onto it. This is the same car that Charlie Smith tried to get in, except with a couple of different changes on it. On the outside of the next row up, we have Emma White in her ARCSOA Lead Series debut. White is looking quite strong. And on the inside, we have Pichu London is making a comeback for the American 700 in the Dodge car, 01 car. James Silverfox in the 91 car is having a fantastic race, or is having a fantastic weekend, qualified very well. And the Trek seems to like the CBM car. I believe he's the only CBM in the field because I don't think that the other two made it due to wrecks. However, the CBM of Silver Fox does look strong. On his inside, we have Tristan Wilhoit in the very patriotic Porsche one-off car number 5. Nice thing to see on the American 700 here on Independence Day. Zolt Dormitory is going to take P20 on the outside, way hot, punching well above his weight in the 37 car. He's got to keep it calm, but I think he could end up getting into a good result here. Alex Allen in car 02. Nearly won the season 15 running of the American 700, but got wrecked on the final lap. That race eventually went to Vincent Allen. Mark Aplicapakal on the outside of the next row up. Aplicapakal starting 18th in the Action Terra. All 3 Action Terras made this race, and the lowest one is in P18. For an unsponsored team, that's pretty good. On the inside of him, we have Charlie Fabrosis, the only Discover Ohio on the grid. Myatt got wrecked out of the lead, and McCain was just lost all race in Duel B rather. On the outside of row number 8, we have Jacob Hart. Jacob Hart came back from being a lap down in his duel and sounds pretty confident in his car. And on his inside, we have Tyler Thaber, another driver who's pretty confident that he could end up winning the race in the Hyundai. His teammate will not start this race as I think Allie Nelson is still in the hospital after a pretty vicious duel 2 wreck that involved Kenny Myatt. On the outside, in P14, we have Jake Baskinger in the Porsche, the highest qualifying Porsche. All 3 Porsches made the field. And on his inside, we have Stephen Pollard III. Great one-off showing by Pollard. He made the race last year, but not by much, if I remember. On the outside of the next row up, we have Charles Samper in. He won the dual race number 2, letter B, and Samper was really quick, lapped the field, and with an excellent display of pit strategy. That is probably the best way I've ever seen somebody get into the race, was through the same pit strategy. And on his inside, we have Jordan Davis. Jordan Davis is looking quite strong as well. He won duel 1 quite convincingly with another pit strategy call, except he didn't exactly lap the field. On the outside of these cars were locked into the race via the top 10 shootout, where all 94 cars went out on track. This is Sean Perkins, qualified 10th in the Audi for the Horizon Group car. Perkins is looking very strong. The season 14 American 700 winner. And on his inside, we have Vijay Pachanda, the inaugural American 700 winner. So a row of 2 American 700 winners. They look strong, that row does. On the outside of row number 4, we have Nick Mace, the reigning ARCSOA American 700 champion. He is in the same car he won the race with last year. That car was just recently allowed to get back out on the track. Of course, they have a year-long breakover where they have a year-long period where these cars that win the American 700 cannot race the next season. But however, it just got its year-end period over, and now it can race. On the inside, we have Marion Shallrott. Shallrott did very, very well in the top 10 shootout. Her teammate, the points leader Michael Lumbernewer, didn't even qualify. On the outside of row number 3, we have Tuomas Saarinen, qualified outside of the front row last season, and won the duel last season, believe it or not. Won this duel last season. And on his inside, we have veteran Noah Hart. Noah Hart we expect him to go to the front pretty early to maybe take the lead in this race, because in front of him, with the exception of one particular driver, the front of the field's relatively inexperienced when it comes to ARCSOA. On the outside of the second row, we have Jessica Shelton in the 94 car. Missed the race last season after having a rocket ship of a car. Good to see Shelton on the grid. And in P3, we have Michael White in the KIR TVR car. That car's fast, but they've been complaining of mechanical issues all weekend, so expect that car to maybe get some problems, but if it stays running, it's a definite threat for the win. And onto the front row, outside front row, we have Kyle Nova in the 71 car. A fantastic showing by Kyle Nova in the Yamp car. And on the pole, we have debutant Cooper Siron. Nova, of course, got top 10 last season in the American 700. Cooper Cyron has never even started an ARCSOA Elite Series race. He won on debut in the ARCSOA Light Series and gets the pole in the American 700, the biggest race in his career. The young Australian is definitely going to be a threat. Anyway, that's the American 700, and let's go down to the command, and let's get this car going. Once we come back from commercial, the cars will take the green flag here at the American 700.